Hey everybody, it is time for a wrap up. I'm here to tell you about a stack of books that I've read lately. It's been a while, so it's a big stack, so we better get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you all doing today? I hope you guys are doing very well. I don't know if you can tell, I am a little sweaty. It is a little warm for a couple of reasons. One, the heat returned to the Bay Area. I think the heat returned to Northern California, to be honest with you. So it's been in the 90s for us here. And yeah, so going in and out, walking the dogs and all that stuff has been very warm. Also, we are in the process of packing up our house and moving things around. So there's a lot of activity going on there. So I'm just warning you, things may start to disappear around me as the months go on. So I am going to be doing that. So that is why I'm a little bit on the shiny side today. Today I'm here to wrap up a stack of books that I read. Now most of these books, actually I think all of these books, are from the National Book Award long list. I was able to get through 8 of the 10 before the short list was announced, and I have read the entire short list. So I will talk about that in another video, talk about who I think should win and all of that kind of stuff. But I did want to wrap up these books and tell you all about them because many of them are very good, and I think you should get your hands on them. So get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, get out however you keep track of your TBR. If you're so able, please order a book or two from your local independent bookstore, and or if you're a library user, get your library to get you a copy as soon as possible. So where are we going to get started? I have no specific order. I'm just really going in the stack the way I brought them to the video today. So we're going to start with the short story collection, The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Deesha Philyaw. This is out from West Virginia Press. I had not read anything from them, but Kendra Winchester of the Reading Women is very fond of them, and they publish a lot of books that she is a big fan of. So I am on board because I loved this short story collection. This is a collection about different stories about Black women in different situations, from relationships to job situations to it's a lot about relationships and love and friendship and all that kind of stuff. It is so hard, you know, to sum up a short story collection, but I will tell you my favorite short story was called Snowfall. I always want to say Snowflake, but that's because that's my nephew and niece's cat. Snowfall is the story of two women that move from the south to the north, and it's snowing and they're not used to the weather. They're home. One of them is very homesick, and it's about the dynamic between them and their family, and also their queerness and how that affected their relationship, and the relationship they're having with their partner in this new space. And it was so heartwarming at the end of it. I was like in tears. I loved it so very much. So I'm a huge fan of this. I'm a huge fan of her talent. I cannot wait to read what Deesha writes next. And I'm on board. I follow her on all of the Instas and the Twitters because I want to be there for whatever she puts out next. Now, this was shortlisted, so I'm so excited to see if she'll read at the National Book Award, and I can get to see her interpretation of her work. So that's The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Deesha Philyaw, out from West Virginia University Press. Okay, the next book is probably one of the most talked about books that was coming out in the fall. And when the long list came out, it actually hadn't come out yet. And it's already had its movie rights sold, so it's a big talking book. And that is Leave the World Behind by Rumaan alum, out from Ecco. And this is my Book of the Month Club pick. And this book is really hard to explain without spoiling anything. But here's what I'll say. So we have a sort of a middle-class white couple and their 2 children that rent a house sort of in the middle of nowhere in upper New York. They're going away for a long weekend for a well-earned vacation. They arrive, the house is beautiful, there's a huge pool, everything is going well, they're sort of enjoying each other and this time together, when one night a older Black couple arrives. And they say that they are the owners of the house and that they were in New York, and all of the sudden, all of the electricity went out and they were headed home, and they didn't know how they were going to get through New York. So they headed out to this house, and they would like to come in and stay because they want to sort of ride out what's going on in New York City. And the book sort of goes from there. I'm not going to tell you where it goes because, as my friend Ryan says, I think that part of the adventure of this book is not knowing what's going to happen. I absolutely loved it. I read it probably in 2 sittings, maybe 3 because I finished it one morning. But I flew through it. I thought the characters were dynamic. I thought the plot was interesting. I thought the writing was fantastic. It talks about race. It talks about class. It talks about the world in general, and just talks about all of those dynamics, the dynamics between parents and children, people that maybe people that are older, and how they view a situation versus sort of people younger or my age. You know, it really does a great job of sort of sliding up and down that scale, and it just sort of has a conversation all the while sort of having this tension of what's going on in New York. So there you go. That's Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. It's already been sold for the movies. Julia Roberts on board. Denzel Washington, I believe, is on board. So, you know, it's getting a star treatment. So don't take it from me. Just know I really loved this book. Okay, the next book is also on the short list. All of these are on the short list, actually. All of the ones I'm going to talk about up until the very, very end. And that is Interior Chinatown by Charles Wu. This is out from Pantheon book. So how to explain this book? So this book is the story of a Chinese American man living and sort of how do I explain it? And he wants to be in the movies. He wants to be in films. But the book is really a discussion about what is available to Asian men and women, not only in film, but also sort of in societal stereotypes. And what's really clever is the book does this in a way where it almost reads, well, it is sort of typographed like a screenplay. So there's a certain distance from the characters, like someone's always looking at them as the main character deals with his drive to become a kung fu man, which is sort of like the epitome of what can be achieved for Asian men in the film industry. And it talks about his relationship with his father. It talks about his relationship with his mother, where they sort of sat in these stereotypes, and how you sort of slide up and down that scale depending on what sort of opportunities you have. And I thought the book was very interesting in style, and I think it had a lot of really poignant points to make about stereotypes and sort of boxing people into a group. I did feel a bit distanced from the characters, which led me to not so much care about what was going on as far as story. And the story is a little bit thin to me, but I think the book is more about the ideas behind it versus the actual plot narrative. At least to me. I liked it. I'm interested in Charles's future books. I think that he is extremely talented. This book didn't speak to me from like a holistic level. There were bits and pieces of it I thought were very interesting, but together it just didn't quite form to me. I hope that makes sense. So that's Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu, out from Pantheon Books right now. You can get your hands on it. The next book, also on the short list, which I have to be honest, I was a little surprised to see this one make it, and that's a children's Bible by Lydia Millet, and that's right there. It's got a fantastic cover. So this is about a group of sort of middle class, upper class families that rent this house in the middle of nowhere. All come together. They sort of all put their children sort of in this attic so that the parents can sort of have this wild party time. And it's narrated by one of the girls, one of the children. And it's a story about a huge storm that comes in and basically wipes out electricity, wipes out power, and causes the children to go on sort of this adventure towards, salvation. It's really an allegory regarding climate change and how we're not really prepared should something catastrophic occur. And what we do is we get the point of view of the children looking at their parents deal with the situation, and then what they decide to do as a unit. And many of them make very interesting, weird choices. Some tragedy happens. And it's like one of those books where you can't stop turning. It is a page turner of a book. I think that there's some really fun stuff. It's very cinematic in the way that it sort of describes everything. However, at the end of it, I'm not sure what I was supposed to get from it. I liked it, but I don't know that I loved it. And I don't know that I would say, hey, read this if you're looking for this, because I'm not sure what this was for it. She's a fantastic writer. She's got such a way with description and phrases, but you are sort of a step back from the characters because it does have that allegory feel. And so I didn't personally get really invested in them, but I wanted to know what was going to happen next, if that helps. I think it's interesting. I think it would be a fantastic book club book because there's a lot to dig into and talk about. So I'd be interested to, talk to people who have read it. But to me, it was sort of the one when I finished it, I was like, not sure what I needed to get from that. I hope that makes sense. So that's A Children's Bible by Lydia Millet, and this is out from Norton. But congratulations on making the shortlist. Probably the most talked about book on the short list, and probably my most controversial opinion, is going to be Shugibane by Douglas Stuart. This is out from Grove in the United States. This is on the short list for the Man Booker. This is on the short list for the National Book Award. This is the story. It's set in Glasgow, Scotland, and it is the story of a family where the mother is a raging alcoholic, and that causes havoc across the family. It causes the children's fathers to leave. It causes her to have all sorts of really poor decisions that lead to the children leaving in utter poverty at times. And the story is really about the youngest child, Shuggie, and his relationship with his mom, as he has sort of always felt like he needs to be her protector. And it's about her relationships, not only with her children, but with men and other people that enter their lives. It talks a lot about how poverty leads to addiction, such as alcoholism, and sort of a need to escape what's going on, and how it just sort of creates this cycle, and it's very difficult to get out of. Shogibane is also definitely, no surprises here, guys. I'm not giving anything away. He is more of an effeminate child. He definitely comes off a bit like he is queer, and he deals with being bullied not only from other children, but also from father figures, the men that enter his wife. And I say bullied in a way that sometimes it's just they don't understand him. The children can be rather mean, but a lot of the adults are just always trying to masculinize him. I'm totally making that word up. But make him more masculine, so they keep giving him stuff, and he wants to be different. He wants to fit a mold. The story is very endearing, very sweet. It's very sad at points and times. The relationship is really well told. The book is really well written, and you will totally get involved in this family and sort of the travesty of the mother continuing to make poor decisions. My issue with the novel is simple in that I think it's a story that's been told. I didn't think that it being set in Glasgow actually added anything to the narrative. I think you could have picked this up, and this could have been a young boy and his alcoholic mother in just about any part of the world. And I feel I don't know, I felt a little bit been there, done that. It's brilliantly written, and the story is great, and I highly recommend it if you like those family sagas and you like those sort of dynamics, and it will tug on your heartstrings. But you've probably seen a movie like it, and you've probably read another book like it in a lot of ways. So I liked it. I liked it a lot, but to me, it doesn't do anything new. So I hope that makes sense. I really like Douglas Stuart. I follow him on all this stuff. I think he's immensely talented. But it could also be that this book suffers a little bit from overhype for me because everybody's talking about it. So many people love it. And it's always hard for a book to live up to that much hype for me. So that is Shuggie Bain by Douglas Stuart. The book that I was most upset about not making the shortlist, and one of my favorite reads of the entire year, is The Great Offshore Grounds by Vanessa Veselka. That is a Ukrainian word that means rainbow, I have been told. And this book is out from Knopf, and I loved this book. So how do you describe this? Is the story of two women who have been brought up as sisters, okay? They were raised by their mother. Their mother was in a relationship with their father, and they lived in sort of a commune, a polygamist type relationship with another woman. The father got both women pregnant, and one of the women did not want to be a mother. So she gave her child to this other woman. And so she has raised both these girls. They're both, in their 20s, late 20s, I believe. And the book starts with them going to the wedding of their father to his new bride, who they have not seen their father in like 14 years. The issue is they know that they are both not the daughters of this woman, but the mother has never told them anything about this other woman. She does not want to sort of invite that in because she's protecting the privacy of that woman. But the father, at the very beginning of the book, gives that name to these women, and it starts an adventure for both of them, very different. One of the women is she is a lesbian, and she is much more independent, and she sort of lives like a very close to the earth type life. She's very good with her hands, and she winds up like going into Alaska and becoming like a one of those people that works on those giant fishing boats, and she winds up meeting a woman, and a relationship goes one way. The other girl, the other woman, is obsessed with finding this other mother, because she thinks that will sort of help put into place all of the issues she's had in her life. And it's this story of these two women on two very different paths, but you also get a secondary story regarding the mother who has raised them, who is dealing with sort of things that have come into her life that don't allow her to live her life the way she usually or would want to. So she has to make tough decisions. And does she share what's going on in her life with her daughters? There is also a brother figure that was not really, and I say brother, it's one of those families, a family that you make it. And he was brought into the family late in life, but treated like a brother, who winds up joining the military sort of out of a sense of he doesn't know what to do next. And it turns out he's very good in the military, but he is also in love with one of the girls. So all of that dynamic comes together. I found this book heart-wrenching. I found it beautifully written. I found it interesting. I found the stories of these girls so well told and different. Like, neither of them were people that I had ever seen in a book before. And I just was really compelled by it. This book is very, very good. So that's The Great Offshore Grounds by Vanessa Veselka, and this is out from Knopf. So that is the stack of books that I've read lately. That is a pretty good stack. Let's see if I can hold them up here for you guys real quick. I mean, that's a good stack of books, and all of them, I tell you right now, all of them are worth your time. As always, if you are a return subscriber, thank you so much for coming. I could not do this without you. Lots going on in life, so I know that I'm not as good at getting back to you guys as I usually am, so I apologize. I am hoping that things will calm down in the next couple of months. If you are a new subscriber, thank you very much. I hope you come back for more. As always, I encourage you to read globally, shop locally, and until next time, I wish you happy reading. Bye!